Ishizu Tearlaments is here, and this is the strongest deck in Yu-Gi-Oh history. Today I'm going to show you everything about this deck, my current first list for it, and I'm also going to be showing you some combos, some test hands. Now, if you want a beautiful playmat, check out this one at zerodamagegaming.com and use the code SOLEM for a discount. As you can see right here, this list is a bit different from what you may have seen in the OCG and the TCG, and that's because we don't have Bistchels. Bistchels were huge in countering Tear upon release, and so this time we need to deal with, no Bistchels. So instead we are playing triple DD Crow. This is basically the hand trap to deal with Tear. I do know some people also like Bell, but the issue with Bell is that the body stays in the graveyard. So if your opponent then uses another name, they basically get an easier Kid Close because there's still an Aqua in the grave. If all of that doesn't make sense just yet, just forget about it and play DD Crow for now. Bell is also fine if you don't have the material for a DD Crow, but I think Crow is just a little bit better. Beyond that, Bell also can be chain blocked, which is pretty huge. Like you might have like a Tear name and then after that an Ishizu card or a Tear name and after that a Scream, and then that way you can't really get Belled on it, whereas you can absolutely get DD Crowed on it. So it's way better than Bell for sure. But hey, if you don't have the material, no judgment here. Next we have one Herald of Orange Light. This is still a crazy card because it lets you play on your opponent's turn and can also stop Maxi, and Maxi is absolutely broken. Also it's a tuner which can be useful to make Baron. I do want to say, if you do not have the material for Baron or Diviner, just cut a Diviner and cut a Baron, easy peasy. But yeah, Herald, broken card. Triple Maxi, because Maxi is broken, one Diviner. This is a really great way to start your place in my opinion. It is also a great way to make Baron. I do think a lot of people are going to start playing evenly matched to beat Tear, and so having a Baron on your board kind of insulates it a bit better. That's why I'm playing it. If you do not have the material for that, I would recommend also playing Crime in your deck. So just cut that Diviner, play a Crime. It's only a normal card. That way, at least if you can add that to your board, you won't get evenly matched as easily. Next, we have two Tearlaments Merly. We would play 3 if we could. We have two Tearlaments Halfness. We would play 3 if we could. Basically, like I explained in previous videos, the Tearlaments names will all have effects in the graveyard to start fusion summoning, so you want to play as many as possible. Also important to note, Halfness is the one that lets you play on your opponent's turn. Your opponent activates an effect, you activate Halfness, Halfness will mill 3 cards, and then you start your place. But again, you'll see in some of the test hands. Next, I'm playing one Fairy Tail Snow. I think Snow is just too broken not to play. With that being said, some decks in the OCG weren't even playing it, even though they had it legal, and time may tell. If you don't have the UR material, this is not the first thing I would craft personally, but I do think it's a really insane card. Next, we have Tearlaments Sharon. Again, if we could play 3, we would play 3, but it's at 2 right now. Once again, one of the other names to start fusing. Then we have Rhino Heart. As you can see, I only have 2 right now. I think 3 is optimal, but I just don't want to spend my last CPUR. I might replace this with, and it's actually pretty important, if you are on a budget, you can play this card instead. You can play Supreme Sea Mare. Again, Rhino Heart is better. You definitely want one, especially because that's the only way to make Kaleido Heart. But for basic plays, Supreme Sea Mare will often be as good. So, if you don't have the UR material, you're like, I want to play this deck, but that's like the only card I can't craft. Make some Supreme Sea Mares, But yeah, Rhino Heart is the card that does not create a fusion, but rather mills a card from your deck and also has some other really interesting plays. Then for the Ishizu package, we just play as many as we can. These cards are broken, so whatever the game tells you can play, that's the amount that you play. We have 2 Keldo, 3 Medora, 2 Kelbeck, 2 Agido. Finally, we have Terraforming. The field spell is broken. I am going to be experimenting in this game with stuff like Foolish Burial Goods and Rainbow Bridge of Salvation later, just to get that field spell even more often. Maybe make some crazy piles. Again, be subscribed to this channel to see the crazier cool stuff I'm going to be doing with Tear. This is like basic stuff. This is like, you want to play broken Ishizu Tear. I got you. This is here. But the fun stuff with Tear is when you start making piles. Crazy piles without all this garbage. So there I'll be playing Foolish Burial Goods. But here, we only have 2 ways to draw our field spell, basically. One is Terra, the only is Pearl. Then we have Instant Fusion. Instant Fusion is an FTK. Instant Fusion tells your opponent to fuck off. This card is insane. Instant Fusion is just instantly making Kid Close, and that makes all your plays for free. Then we have Triple Tactics Talent. This card defined the format for Ishizu Tear. Why? Basically, this was the first format where both players will always have effects activating in each other's turn. It is impossible that it doesn't happen. So usually when you go first with the talents in your hand, you're like, do they have a hand trap? Maybe they don't. Then this kind of sucks. If they only imper me, it also kind of sucks. If they nip me at the right time, the tactics doesn't really save me anymore. This kind of sucks. Talents in a Tear mirror will never, ever, ever, ever suck. This card will always be broken in a Tear mirror. You're gonna have millers, they're gonna have millers, they're gonna have Tear names, they're gonna have shufflers. You are both gonna activate so many monster effects, I don't even know if the timer can handle it. Honestly, if you don't have cross out, but you do have extra talents, play more talents. Card's crazy. Then we have one Perlerino. We would play play more if we could, but we can't. One Scream only. I do have to say, if you disagree with any of the choices in this deck, put in more Scream. This card is crazy. I only have one right now, and again, lots of UR material. A very expensive deck, but this is a crazy card. This will mill whenever you anything is summoned and you have a tier card, and then your opponent won't be able to out your board because they lose like a bunch of attack. And then also when this thing is milled, you get to search your traps. Like, this card is crazy. The only issue I do find with this card, and in real life I had this issue quite often, is where if you open a hand of only like hand traps and Ishizu cards, then tier Scream doesn't do anything. So you would actually pretty often have like Scream, Bestials, Ishizu, and go like, oh, pass turn. You know, some people say Ishizu tier is very consistent. It really isn't. You do have quite some brick do-nothing hands. And so for that reason, I do think Scream can get bricky. That's why I'm only at 1. I could, you know, craft more again, but I do also understand the card is broken. If you want the highest power, most insane tier deck, you want to play more of this than 1. But you need to play at least 1, because again, there's some plays I will show you. Then 2 Call By. This card is crazy in the mirror and also important for Maxi. That you might notice there's no Ash in this deck. That was a choice. I think Maxi is broken, but you kind of really don't have the room. And Ash sucks against tier. Like, Ash on Sharon will sometimes stop them, but usually not. Ash on Rhino will sometimes stop them, but usually not. Ash on Kid Kolos will sometimes stop them, but usually not. That sucks. Whereas a Call By, if you go second and you start playing into their board, that shit will stop them. And it also stops Maxi. Similarly, Cross Out in the mirror goes crazy, because you can stop anything, and it can also stop Maxi. That's why I prefer that over Ash right now. Then Triple Imperm. I think this is better than Ash. Yeah, I said it. Ash will very often do fuck all on tier, but Imperm on Kit will stop them often. You know, actually off. For that reason, I think Imperm goes way too hard not to play. But with that being said, no hand trap on its own will actually stop tier, except for Dimension Shifter, which usually only bad decks can play. More on that later in my anti-Tearlaments Toon deck. Finally, we have 2 Sulik. Sulik is the best trap this deck has access to. Basically, if you can have like Field Spell, Sulik, Scream, no matter what happens, you're probably winning. Then for the extra deck, we have Mud Dragon. It can be made with the DD Crow and Stapelia. Then we have Kid Kolos. Kid Kolos is just the heart and soul of the deck. The only reason tier is dead in TCG, in my opinion, is because Kid Kolos got banned. Like right now in TCG, all the tier names and all the Ishizu cards are limited to 1. Yeah, they hit like 7 cards at once. All of that would be fine if Kit was still legal. You could literally put all of them to 1. Kit at 1, I still play this deck in the meta in top tier. That's how crazy this card is. It will mill, it will search, it's insane. Then we have Stapelia. This is just like generic solid negation. You can also make this on your opponent's turn when they started very easily with halfness. So yeah, crazy card. Then we have Rule Kolos. It's crazy in my opinion that this was even released alongside all the other cards, but this is basically a fusion that negates summons, which is nuts. And then Kaleido Heart shuffles back stuff. Then we have Baron. Again, I can make this with Herald of Orange Light by reviving it with Elf and then fusing together with Stapelia. I know it's weird, but I've done this before. But more easily, it's just with Diviner. And again, I like to have an Omni Negate because evenly matched can go hard against this deck sometimes. Then we have Abyss Dweller. Abyss Dweller goes absolutely crazy. The whole mirror is going to be defined by this card. We have Exit on Night, which is a great way to wipe boards and also really good together with Zeus. Bagushka, because some people will be coping on shifter decks. The way it worked essentially is that you had all the pros basically playing Tearlaments decks, and then anyone who didn't want to think that much decided, cool, I'll play Flu or Exosister, and then they would shifter you thinking, oh cool, I auto win because I opened my win button, and then Tyr would make Bagushka, and usually Tyr would still win. Hello, this is why we play Bagushka. You get shifted, you make Bagushka, you might still be winning, even though you should be auto losing into that card in theory. Next we have Redoer. Really solid to put on top of your board because it means that even if your opponent activates like evenly, you can still make a new board under evenly, which is crazy. Then we have Zeus, because obviously it's Zeus. We have easy rank 4 plays in this deck. We have Asa, which is really good with the Ishizu cards. We have Dark, which is really good with all the tier cards. Also Dark, as you will notice in your gameplay on ranked, is crucial when playing the mirror. You will notice there's a lot of skillful moves you can do by Darking, taking your opponent's Merly, milling 3 that way, then turning the Merly plus the Dark into your own Elf, maybe reviving your own Merly, milling 3 more, and stuff like that. Really interesting. And then finally Access Code. because it's actually the only way to play under your opponent's Dweller. Like, in the tier mirrors, you will notice a lot of it boils down to, holy shit, we are both trying to Dweller each other and then play while not dying to that Dweller. That's also why you see so many good rank 4s, like we hope to do Exit on Night to wipe the board, try to get to Zeus maybe to wipe the board, try to do like Asa and Dark stuff into Access Code to try and, you know, clear the board somehow. So all these cards are very crucial to play, assuming that you're under Dweller. Because if you're not under Dweller, you might be able to just, you know, straight up win. Okay, so this is the deck. So now I'm quickly going to take out the 1 Rhino Heart for the 1 Supreme Sea Mare, so I can just show you some hands, basically. Rather than the usual test hand, I'm also going to show you actually playing this into an opponent, because the power of tier is actually that you can play into opponents. Oh, also hilarious. Of course, they are tier as well. So you're going to see, you know, a little bit of a mirror here. Our hand is pretty solid. We have Max C, we have Supreme Sea Mare, but most importantly, we have Instant Fusion. This means we are getting a Kit Kalos plus a Search no matter what. They're going to try to set up a Sulik, of course. Oh, they also have Scream. Wow, they are good. They are very good. So we're just going to wait with the Max C for now. They normal summon. They're now going to mill 1,000. And, you know, so Merly is going to mill 3 and Scream is going to mill 3. Then hopefully that triggers special summons for them. Okay, so they're going to mill. They hit Kelbeck. Oh, they're playing a lot of fancy stuff. Holy shit. We're going to basically chain Max C here, and we're going to see what else they do. Notice how they've activated Kelbeck, so we're both going to mill 5 cards. Again, this is going to get complex real quick. Just saying. Okay, so Max C resolved. That's good. They're now going to Kelbeck. In their mills, they have a Shuffler. As you can see, they have Medora, meaning if I activate a tier name now, if I milled one, and I didn't, funnily enough, I will not actually be able to do that much with it. They milled a tier name, Tearlaments Halfness, so this will try to trigger, but it wouldn't because I milled my own Shuffler. So the way these chains will resolve is if he's smart, he just doesn't try to Halfness at all. My Scream was milled, so searches me a trap. I will, at the end of his turn, try to Keldo and shuffle back specifically his Shuffler, and then I should be able to play on my turn. But again, if he tries to maybe Halfness into... Actually, the best way for him to play... Wow. Okay, so that's nothing. He basically decided he would rather not play against someone who is playing tier and has a Shuffler live. Yeah, great. Awesome start to the tier tutorial right here. But I hope some of the thoughts were already showing. I know it gets complex though. Alrighty, so we are trying to play this in a game because Tearlaments are just way too back and forth. Otherwise, you won't really be able to see much. So, okay, they are also a tier deck. We're gonna let them do the Rhino Heart specifically because if we imperm here and they do Sharon into Kit Kalos, we're Sag. However, they are milling the Merly, so now I will chain the DD Crow. DD Crow is actually going to go really hard here. So we DD Crow and we select the Merly. Now she can't fuse, so then they're basically not able to fusion summon. So now they need an extender, something like a Sharon in the hand or something, to make a Kit Kalos, but then we just imperm the Kit, and then they're still Sag, right? So that's basically our goal here. And if they don't have an extender, they might still end here. That's why DD Crow is so hard. Okay, so they have the Yugioh, which I don't mind actually at all. This is just going to make a rank 4 play, because they don't have anything else here. Yeah, so Yugioh special summons itself when something is sent to grave. Oh, okay, they are playing Grief as well. That's fine. Grief is normally going to make a fusion, so he sends the Halfness, and now normally it's going to be Halfness plus Rhino Heart into Kit Kalos, as you can see, unless he has another Aqua in his hand, but he might not. So Halfness plus Rhino Heart, yeah, yep, is a quick and easy Kit, and then we imperm the Kit, and that should be the end of it. He could then still make Dark, take our Crow, make a Sprite Elf, and try to revive Merly, but there's no Merly actually, so that is all fine. So here we're going to imperm the Kit. This is once again why imperm is so crazy, because it turns off 2 effects. Like Kit Kalos has 2 effects, and both of them go super hard. So just imperming a Kit is like the best thing you can do. A lot of people are not playing imperm right now yet because they don't realize this yet, but trust, imperm is going to go crazy. So imperm on Kit, and he should probably just pass here. Again, Dark take Crow is like the best thing, but yeah, they're passing. They don't have anything. Very cool. So now the biggest issue we are facing is actually if we try to use Keldo and Yugioh plays, they will be milling. So ideally, we don't want them milling. So we're just going to start with Scream into Merly. So we're going to activate Scream, which was a really good top deck, by the way. And then we're going to normal summon Merly. And we're going to use both of these effects to mill. So we're going to go activate Merly and use Merly first and Scream second so they can't chain Halfness. That's actually a pretty big deal as well. This is like a chain block. Okay, so we're going to mill 6. They have Ash on the Scream. Okay. Okay, that's pretty solid of them. Now we really need mills from Merly to be good, because otherwise we're gonna have to help them with milling as well. So hopefully Merly mills 3 good cards, and she milled Kelbeck. Okay, that's pretty sad, but I think we do have to activate. So this is where things get interesting, right? So we're going to activate Kelbeck first, and then we're gonna activate Solik. Actually, maybe I should have done that the other way around. Again, showing you how complex this can get, because now Solik is gonna add... Yeah, okay, there we go. Okay, so Solik was gonna add a Sharon, but by taking that off my deck, I have a less chance of actually milling Sharon, and we wanted to mill Sharon, so it should have been probably the other way around. With that being said, basically why they just conceded is because Chainlinks were about to get complex. We were about to go mill 5 both, and then we would both mill a number of Shufflers and a number of tier names and start fusing like mad. But I do think you'll see a lot of people surrendering, because this stuff gets really complex, and they might just hope that their opponent starts surrendering as well. Alright, this is the third try where I try to play tier because opponents keep surrendering when things get a little more complex. This is crazy. So, with this hand, what are we gonna do? I think we start by normal summoning Supreme Seamare. But basically, pretend like this is Rhino Heart, okay? For all intents and purposes, this is gonna be a Rhino Heart right here. It's just gonna activate its effect and mill a name. Everyone is conceding. This is a third concede. The second any milling is going to happen, people are like, nope, I'm out. Okay. Game number 4, where we try to show you what Tearlaments do. I might actually have to go in solo mode. This is absolutely crazy. So we're actually going to start with Merly, mill 3, hope to get plays from that, and then we can Perlerino into Sharon, sending Kelbeck, and then we have plays as well. So we're going to start with Merly. She's going to mill 3 on summon. So activate effect, and we're going to mill 3. What did we mill? We milled absolutely nothing. Okay, that's fucking sad. I mean, Snow is a great... And they concede again. Naturally. Alright, we're going to solo mode. Sorry. I really tried to show you ranked gameplay with this deck, but the second I start playing, people just concede. They're like, oh, damn, we're gonna do milling. It's gonna get complex. Bye. So, yeah, I guess I just have to show you a hand without all of that. So we're gonna do Diviner, and it's gonna mill an Agido. By milling Agido, we're gonna mill 5, and hopefully that gets our play start. So we mill Agido. Alrighty. Effect Agido. We're both gonna mill 5 cards, and hopefully that hits some cards. Okay. Oh, so here we have a lot of plays. We're gonna try... Ooh, if we Merly the Rhino away... So I think Kelbeck needs to be Chainlink 3 here. Basically, what's gonna happen is the Merly is gonna try and make a fusion. Rhino Heart is gonna try to summon itself and mill another card, and Kelbeck is gonna mill 5 more cards. I think in this game state, we want all of that. The Rhino Heart is a level 4, so together with the Diviner, which is a 6, we make a Baron. Merly hopefully gets another name from Kelbeck to make a Kitkalos, and Kelbeck hopefully gives us just hella lots of value. So it's gonna be like Kelbeck 3, Merly 2, Rhino 1. Yeah, that's how we want to do it. So Rhino, Merly, Chainlink 2, and then Kelbeck is 3. Kelbeck basically wants to hit a name here. We really want to hit a tier name. All right, time for some milling. So we mill 5. We hit no tier name. That's awful. So now Merly is desperate to make... Well, we really need a Kitkalos. Yeah, this was a waste of a Rhino Heart, but there's no other way. We didn't mill any Aquas. That's too bad. So we're putting those 2 away. We've now used Merly already. So we're going to activate the Kitkalos to search, and because we are already holding the trap, as you can see, we can easily search a Merly, because that's gonna mill some more cards. Add to your hand. Yes, absolutely. All right, so now, as you can see, we have a Kitkalos activation. So we're gonna activate the Kitkalos, and hopefully that gets us another name. So she's basically gonna nuke herself and then special summon the Merly out. So we special summon out the Merly and then nuke her. And now you can basically mill with both. Merly is gonna mill 3, Kitkalos is gonna mill 5. Usually you want to put Merly in Chainlink 1, because if your opponent is playing tier and they have a Hofness, they can chain to the Merly otherwise. So you're gonna go Merly 1. Again, this stuff will get complex. I'm sorry. So Merly 1, Kitkalos 2, just to chain block any Hofness activations. Now we're gonna mill 8. Probably we're gonna hit some more names. So Merly, mill 3. Okay, we got some solid stuff here. So we can now actually make the full board. So we're gonna do Sharon 1, Hofness 2, and then Scream 3. Scream won't be great this time, because it can only search Sulik in this version of the deck. If you were playing Crime, you now have 2 different traps, which would go crazy, you know? But since we don't, we just search a second Sulik, which is not the end of the world, but, you know, it's not as much value, because it's once per turn. Hofness is going to make a Rule Kolos here, out of Hofness and Kitkalos Kitkalos. It's great to always put your Kitkalos back, because that way you can make it next turn. And with next turn, I mean your opponent's turn, because we're playing on our opponent's turn. So now we make a Rulkalos, which is a anti-special summon, and now the Sharon. And now you kind of have to think. You could make a Mud Dragon, and then you would have Baron, Rulkalos, Merly on your field. Or you could make a Mud Dragon, and then you could Merly plus Mud Dragon into Elf, and then revive an Elf on the opponent's turn to fuse even more, maybe into a Stapelia or something like that. So do you want the Omni Negate, or do you want the Stapelia? For ease sake, I'm this time going to make the Baron, just so you can see. But again, we could have made all sorts of different things. So we get ourselves a Mud Dragon. And again, as you can see right now, we can make Elf, which is great. You know, Mud Dragon plus Merly, or Merly plus Herald could make an Elf. And then you can revive the Merly on your opponent's turn with Elf, mill 3, and start fusing again. But in this case, you know, let's say we're very conservative and we want to have an Omni Negate. We can just turn the Mud Dragon plus the Diviner into a Baron, which is a solid Omni Negate, you know. So Baron comes out, and then we're going to set our trap. Another good thing about this is that if our opponents outs our Rulkalos, then at least we still have a Tearlaments name on the field for Sulik, because Sulik does require a Tearlaments name on the field. So we set this, set that, and that is basically our board. Now, I know this doesn't seem crazy, but the fact that we still have 3 cards in our hand, a full board, and we can just endlessly make stuff like this is absolutely crazy. But how about we do another test hand? Okay, so this is can be a brick, you know. The only play we have is activating Keldo to send Kelbeck. But that is probably enough, because Keldo will then add Agido, Medora can send that. So, like, there's plays here, but it also requires our opponent to not play tier, because otherwise we give them a bunch of mills as well. But sometimes that's what you gotta do. So now we add an Agido to our hand, and now Kelbeck will trigger because it was sent to the graveyard by effect. So we activate Kelbeck, and we're going to mill 5 on both sides. Okay, what did we mill? We milled a Sulik Scream, which isn't the end of the world. So we're basically thinking of the chain blocks. We really want Sulik to resolve. So Sulik will be chainlink 1, and then Scream will be chainlink 2. Scream will add us our trap, which is of course absolutely amazing. Yeah, so we have Scream resolving, adding the Sulik to our hand, and then the Sulik will add a name to our hand. And I think we really... Well, Rhino Heart is kind of weak in the sense that if we Rhino Heart and they imperm that, or they have a DD Crow on that, we don't have plays anymore. Whereas if we do Sharon, there's a pretty solid chance that we're safe. So in terms of effects in our grave here, we have a Shuffler already. So let's say we were in the mirror, we could start using this Shuffler on our opponent's tier monsters so they no longer fuse, which is really solid. But now we will activate Sharon. So Sharon will send the Agido from our hand to the graveyard. She will mill 3, and then the Agido will trigger and mill 5. Alright, so we're going to mill 5, hopefully hit a tier name, and we did in fact hit a tier name finally. So we're going to activate Hafnis, and then Hafnis is going to make Kitkalos, because Kitkalos is, well, the heart and soul of the deck here. So Merly in our grave already. I'm thinking we sent the bait at Merly. So now we special summon Kitkalos, and then Kitkalos will activate effect, searching a Merly. While I don't like it because I want to mill the Merly, I also want to make a Sprite Elf kinda. We haven't normal summoned yet, so we can make like Dweller, Sprite Elf, and the thing. So yeah, I'm gonna add the Merly to my hand. Yep, so we're adding Merly to the hand. Now we're gonna activate the Kitkalos. Kitkalos is gonna kill herself and going to special summon the Merly. Now again, Merly is chainlink 1, milling 8. Yep, okay, milling 3 more. Now all of these effects are popping off. I don't want to activate Rhino Heart because Rhino Heart will make us discard the Sulik, but I do want to activate Merly. So we're gonna activate Merly. No Rhino Heart. We're gonna make a Rulkalos because Rulkalos goes hard. And again, that puts our Kitkalos back into the extra, which we really always want to do. So we special summon the Rulkalos. Yep. Okay, so now we actually haven't normal summoned yet, which is awesome for us. And also the Rulkalos protects us from Nib. So anyone going, oh, Nib will be great. Nope, Nib will be dog shit. And now we special summon Sprite Elf because Sprite Elf will allow us to do some cool plays as well. So we're going to get rid of the Merly and I guess another Shuffler. Yep. We'll put the Sprite Elf here, pointing towards the Rulkalos. That's also why I put it in that spot exactly, because that way she cannot be targeted by an Imperm or something along those lines. And then also, we're going to make an Abyss Dweller out of the Sharon and the Keldo. Because again, you gotta assume that all your opponents are playing tier right now. And if you have an Abyss Dweller, you know, most tier players cannot play through that. It is quite hard, especially without Bestials in the format. So then, let's see if we have any good level 2s. We have Diviner actually, which is pretty nasty. We could Diviner into another Shuffler. Oh, yeah, absolutely. Okay, so we're gonna Sprite Elf right now, reviving Diviner, special summon Diviner, activate effect. We're gonna send a Keldo to the grave. Grave from the deck. The other one is under our Abyss Dweller. All right, and then we set our Sulik. So our end... Oh, we could have also made Baron instead of Abyss Dweller, by the way. But again, we should assume everyone's on tier. So our end board is Pride Elf, which in our opponent's turn will special summon Merly. And then Merly will start milling again, making us playing on our opponent's turn. Abyss Dweller turns off graveyard effects. Rulkalo stops special summon. Sulik will be a monster effect negation. We also have Maxi in our hand, because we actually still, you know, have 2 cards in our hand. But so now if we pass it to our opponent's turn, again, this is just a bot, just to show you, because everyone kept conceding. So now, in their main phase, whatever they do, we will Sprite Elf. Alright, all warrior type monsters, whatever. I'm just gonna show you, we will Sprite Elf, we'll special summon Merly. Also note that this means in our own turn, we will be able to Merly again and again. So they search, yeah, whatever. Oh, they don't search, they gain attack, yeah, okay. Merly mills 3. That mills, once again, Hafnis and so forth. So now, if our opponent had summoned a monster first, of course, normally we would wait, this Hafnis could actually make a Kaleido Heart. So I'm gonna show you. We do this Hafnis, we choose Kaleido Heart. So Hafnis plus the Merly from the board plus the Rhino Heart from grave, you know, they all go away into Kaleido Heart right here. So special summons Kaleido, and it just shuffles something back from the opponent. So it specials Kaleido, boom. Yeah, we'll activate the effect, I guess, on the attack gain, you know, for funsies. But normally you wait until they make a monster just so you go, poo-poo, buy a monster, and there we go. Again, we still have Abyss Dweller, we still have Sulik, we still have Maxi, we still have all these shufflers, we have fucking Snow in our grave. No one is breaking this board, ever. This is unbreakable. Like, the only thing you could argue, oh, evenly matched. Okay, fine. But then we still have Snow, we still have Maxi, we still have all the shufflers, and we're also keeping one form of interaction. Like, if you evenly, let's say, of course, like, now you can no longer evenly because you have a monster. But if you evenly, at the start of this, you could argue I could have just kept Elf, revived Merly, started fusing again, just remade the board. I could have. I straight up could have. So evenly doesn't even do that much. And if people actually started playing evenly, you would always put Redoer on these boards, maybe over Abyss Dweller. But then by having Redoer, you play through evenly like nothing. And if you see a roll of evenly again, you can start playing Crime. We could start making boards with Crime Sulik. So there's nothing you can do. Okay? There's nothing. It's over. It's only tier from now. But yeah, overall though, I'm most fan of tier decks that aren't Ishizu heavy. I think tier Ishizu is very toxic. If you want to have fun. But tier can be fun in other decks. Not as much this. But this is powerful. I hope you found this interesting. Again, there's going to be way more tier content on the channel. Be sure to like, comment, subscribe. If you still want this beautiful playmat, use the code SOLEM for a discount. And I will see you soon. Ciao.